Fear Street Part 1 1994 is a 2021 film directed by Leigh Janiak, written by Janiak and Phil Graziadei, and I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. And we have a cast including Kiana Madeira, Olivia, Welch, Benjamin, Flores Jr. and various others. Really good performances, interesting concept, and it was very, very slow to begin with, but there are some good moments in probably the second half, and there's one scene or one moment that I absolutely loved, that as soon as I watched it, I googled it, and somebody has uploaded the clip to YouTube on its own, and I will at the end, because it is a spoiler for what I consider to be the best moment, I will tell you what that moment is at the end. This is a horror film that was actually released as a trilogy, all within the same year. And the reason I wanted to watch this is because this year, I think this month actually, certainly very recently, there is another film released, and I've heard some interesting things about it. This is Fear Street Prom Queen, and I've just checked, and actually it was released 4 days ago at the time of recording this. So I decided, let's give part 1 a watch, and if I like it, I'll obviously watch parts 2 and 3, and then ultimately Prom Queen. And so far, I can confirm that I'm at least going to watch the next one. We'll see how it goes. This is about this town where these murders have been happening, many murders for a long period of time, and it seems like there might be some kind of curse or evil presence that is responsible for this. And I don't want to say any more than that. I obviously don't want to go into too much detail about what's actually going on or what the driving force behind this is. But I will say it's a well-written narrative. It's an interesting story. I think it's a fascinating concept. The characters we meet are interesting. We get a lot of very dark moments with these murderers and killings, and some of them are amazing. And again, I will tell you my favourite moment at the end. It was very, very slow. But I will also say that since it is part of a trilogy, maybe they took a bit more time setting things up, and that won't be the pacing throughout the next 2 films. That's not uncommon when we have films that are intentionally released in a trilogy, or we know there's definitely going to be a sequel. Sometimes the first film is a little bit slower because they take more time to world build and set things up. So I'm not massively concerned about that with watching the next film, but we'll see if that's the case going forward. The characters are fine. I didn't care for any character in particular. I wasn't that bothered about whether this person would survive or died. I didn't really care, but nobody was annoying. Nobody irritated me. I didn't have a bad thought for any of the characters, and the performances are very strong as well. I will say for a lot of this, it felt more like a teenage film. It is 18 rated, that's worth pointing out, but it felt like something that would appeal to maybe younger horror fans, or horror fans who prefer films with a more teenage-centric cast of characters. But as it progressed, it felt like something that I think would have wider appeal. So it did take a little bit of time to get there, but the more the story unraveled, the darker it got. I do think it got a little bit more gory as it went on, which I really, really liked. It became something that I think would have a much wider appeal. So I guess the point there is, if you have started watching it and you gave up because you thought it wasn't for you, I'd say maybe go back and finish it. It might ultimately still not appeal to you, but I do think it changes a bit as it progresses, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that. And in general, I was quite happy with the experience. So I'm keen to see what the next part is like. I haven't looked ahead. I don't know exactly what happens. This one was set in 1994. I don't think I mentioned that. The next one is 1978. And then the third one is called 1666. I'm just assuming that's set in 1666, or it could be something that happened in 66. I don't know why I said that without the 16 at the start. That affects the present day in the film. I have no idea. I will find out in due course. But for now, I'm pleased to say that Fear Street Part 1, 1994, ultimately ended up being quite a fun film. Gory, with a decent narrative, a well-written story with some good characters and really good performances, and I'm very happy to recommend it and looking forward to the next one. And I will now mention the one bit that I absolutely adored. So this is a spoiler for what I consider to be the best bit, the most beautiful bit of the film, and this is when they are in a store and one of the characters is lying down. That sounds voluntarily. They are forced to lie down with their head backing into a bread slicer. And their head, their face, it goes through the bread slicer, and it is absolutely beautiful. It is horrendous and I love it. And it was just gorgeous. And as I said, I immediately Googled it because I wanted to see if anybody else was talking about it. And somebody has uploaded that clip to YouTube. And I love it. So I was very happy about that. And I think for me, that was the point where I thought, I will definitely watch the next film. So absolutely loved it. Fear Street Part 1, 1994, is an interesting film, decent narrative, definitely a nice amount of horror, and ultimately one that I'm very happy to recommend.